Poverty, when you hear that word, you might think of people who don't have enough money, food, or place to live. You might picture empty fridges, worn-out clothes, and people struggling to make ends meet. But poverty is much more than that. It's not just about lacking material possessions or financial resources. It's a really complicated problem that affects people, towns, and even whole countries. It can be seen in rural villages, urban slums, and even in the heart of bustling cities. One way we measure poverty is by looking at a country's GDP per capita. This metric helps us understand the average economic output per person. That tells us how much money a country makes per person, but it doesn't capture the distribution of wealth. But that doesn't show the whole picture. It doesn't reveal the disparities between the rich and the poor. It doesn't tell us if some people are much richer than others, or how much things cost in different countries. The cost of living can vary greatly. So, to get a better idea of poverty, economists use something called purchasing power parity, or PPP. This helps compare the relative value of money. PPP looks at how much people can actually buy with their money, considering the cost of living in different places. By looking at both GDP and PPP, we can start to understand how big a problem poverty is around the world. This dual approach gives us a clearer picture of economic inequality and living standards globally. South Sudan is a good example of a country facing extreme poverty. It's a fairly new country, but it has lots of problems. Years of fighting have destroyed roads and buildings, forced people to leave their homes, and made it difficult for the country to improve. South Sudan is often near the bottom of the lists that measure poverty around the world. Many people there don't have the things they need, like clean water, healthcare, or schools. This makes it really hard for them to escape poverty. To understand why South Sudan is so poor, we need to look at a few things. The country's economic struggles are deeply rooted in a combination of factors that have persisted for years. One big problem is that the country relies heavily on selling oil. This dependency on a single resource makes the economy very fragile. While oil can bring in money, it also means the country's economy suffers when oil prices drop. The fluctuating oil prices create instability and uncertainty. The fighting in South Sudan has also caused major problems. Years of conflict have devastated communities and displaced millions of people. It has destroyed important things like roads, farms, and made it dangerous for businesses to invest there. The lack of infrastructure hampers economic development. Without good roads, schools, and hospitals, it's very hard for the country to grow. Education and healthcare are critical for a thriving society. On top of all this, climate change is making things worse. Extreme weather events are becoming more frequent and severe. South Sudan often experiences droughts and floods, which destroy crops, force people to leave their homes, and make it hard to find food. These disasters disrupt daily life and economic activities. These climate problems hit the poorest people the hardest, making their lives even more difficult. The cycle of poverty and hardship continues, leaving many without hope for a better future. South Sudan's problems are similar to those faced by many other poor countries. These countries often owe a lot of money, which means they can't spend money on important things like schools and hospitals. Climate change is a huge threat, causing rising sea levels, extreme weather, and changes in rainfall, which can destroy homes and force people to move. Without good education and healthcare, it's hard for people to escape poverty. Fighting and instability also cause big problems, creating dangerous situations, forcing people from their homes, and making it hard for the economy to grow. Many of these countries also rely on selling just a few products, like crops or minerals, which makes them vulnerable when prices change. This makes it very difficult for them to control their own economies and escape poverty. The problems facing the world's poorest countries are serious, but there is hope. Despite the challenges, there are numerous efforts underway to bring about positive change. Organizations from around the world are helping these countries by giving them money, resources, and expert advice. These efforts are crucial in providing immediate relief and long-term solutions. Groups like the World Bank's International Development Association, or IDA, give loans and grants to help countries reduce poverty, build roads and other infrastructure, and create safety nets for their people. These projects are essential for sustainable development. Countries need to work together to fix the root causes of poverty. Collaboration and partnership are key to addressing these complex issues. This means helping countries reduce their debt, dealing with climate change, and helping to create peace in countries affected by war. Addressing these issues can lead to more stable and prosperous societies. It's also important to help local communities and let them decide how to improve their own lives. Empowering local leaders and residents ensures that solutions are tailored to their specific needs. Helping the world's poorest countries isn't just the right thing to do, it's also important for everyone. A more equitable world benefits all of us by fostering global stability and economic growth. By helping these countries, we can create a fairer and better future for everyone. Education, healthcare, and access to clean water are fundamental rights that should be available to all. Let's work together to end poverty and create a world where everyone has the chance to succeed. Together, we can make a difference and build a brighter future for all.